Hello everyone, we're live again, and today we are going to be joined with children's book publisher Little Tiger. So we'll just give them a moment to get started and welcome you all in. Great to have you here. What a change the weather's made. Lots and lots of you joining, so great to have you here. And I think now there are a couple of new ways to share the link actually for the Instagram Live. So you should be able to get a link and share it with friends. So if they're on Instagram at the moment, then invite them on and tell them to come along and join us. As I mentioned, we're here today with Little Tiger, so they'll be joining us in just a couple of moments. And we're really excited actually, they're having a takeover on their account by Steve Smallman, who is the children's author of all of these wonderful books. If you're on our stories, then you'll have seen all the books that I've been teasing. And we're really excited to have him on board today. So I will just double check if he's here. And okay. Right, we've sent him an invitation, so hopefully we'll see you in a couple of minutes, Steve. So I've sent that invitation across. So, as I mentioned, we're here today with Little Tiger. We have got tons and tons of Little Tiger books on our website, which are fantastic books. I'm such a personal favourite of these. And we've got some really good collections. So this is an 8-book collection that we'll be reviewing today. You can see there's more behind me and there's absolutely tons on our website. So there will be a special discount code, which I'll reveal at the end of today's Instagram Live. And that will be for a discount just off Little Tiger books for today only. So you need to stay tuned until the end, and I'll be revealing a discount just for Little Tiger books for 24 hours only until the end of today, so you can get a 10% discount off all the Little Tiger books on our website. So just give us a moment and we will hopefully get Little Tiger and Steve in. So hi Steve, great to have you. Do you want to do a quick sound check? We can definitely see you, Steve, but we can't hear you just yet. Do you want to turn the volume up? Give us a wave. I'll give you a minute to sort that out. Let's have a look. So, as normal, if you have got any questions for myself and of course for Steve, who's taken over Little Tiger today, please ask away. You can comment in the questions below. I will do my very best to get to them. I've got tons of questions for Steve, and he'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions too. So I think we just got a slight issue with the internet. So we'll give Steve a minute to come back. So just hold on a minute. As I mentioned, lots and lots of opportunities to ask Steve questions. He is a fantastic children's book author. So I'll just show you some of the books. This is an 8-book collection, which I have posted all the details to in our latest Instagram story. It's £10 for these 8 books and they're fantastic. So we're going to go through those, and you can get those on our website now. Don't forget, there'll be an extra discount just of Little Tiger books today, and I'll give you that discount code at the end of today. At the end of this live. So let's just see if we can get Steve back in again. Okay, just sent him a quick invite, so fingers crossed. Hello, you're back. Steve, we can see you, but we can't hear you. Is there a way to turn your volume up? We did do a practice run earlier, we were okay, weren't we? There is a little, sorry guys, just bear with us. There is a little microphone icon on your screen. I don't know if you can see that, and if that's, nope. Let's have a look. we can, while we're sorting this out, feel free to get some questions in, and we'll get Steve to answer those for you in a minute. What's that? Right, let's have a think. Is there any sound on your, is there anything that needs turning up on your computer or on your iPad? We'll get there. No. No. Quick sound check. Still can't hear you. Oh, you can't hear me. Oh dear. Okay. Can everybody else hear me in the audience? So just anybody that's attending, can you hear me? I think I can't hear you still. Okay. Let's just have a quick. Okay. You may have your microphone access off. So depending on your we'll try and resolve this as quickly as possible. Thank you for bearing with us, everyone. Steve, I don't know if there's a way you can just check your Instagram settings to see if your microphone is on. There's a little... Oh, okay. We're just going to call our technical team in for a bit of help. Just hold on a second, Steve. Millen's here to save the day.
Hi all. What's going on here then? Hi Steve. So along the bottom, you should be able to see 4 icons. One's a microphone, one's a video camera, one should have 2 arrows in a circle, and then a smiley face. He can't hear us, I don't know. I've got an idea.
Okay. We will just give us a minute, Steve. You can't hear me, can you, Steve? No. Okay. Just gonna. All right.
Why don't we do this?
Just give us a minute. I'm gonna keep going through the books, and we'll just get out. Millen's gonna save the day and hopefully sort us out.
I can try.
Okay, Steve, if you just keep an eye on the comments below, and Millen's gonna send you a message.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about that. I'll worry.
Okay. All right. So, as I mentioned today, we're going to be reviewing these books by Steve. So, and we will get Steve with us in a minute. So, hopefully, fingers crossed.
What books have we got then?
So we have got, as I mentioned, we've got the 8 books. So these are really, really fun and fantastic books from Steve and Little Tiger. And I've actually been reading them with my son, who's 3.5. And we've been absolutely loving them. I'm starting with his favourite, actually, at the beginning, The Monkey with the Bright Blue Bottom, because it really, really gets your attention. And like I said, there's 8 in this collection. They're just a fantastic set of books. And I'm sure we will get Steve on very, very soon to talk about them so he can do them justice. Cool. Steve's just left for a moment, and then we'll get him back on in a minute. So yeah, this is the first one that we started in. You don't need to read these in any particular order. They are just a brilliant set. So they're funny as well. They're funny. That's the main thing. That's the reason why we really liked them. The illustrations are wonderful, and I'll just show you this. I'll just show you those. So they're hilarious tales, actually, and they're rhyming as well. And Steve is an award-winning children's author, so you know he's got this right. I'll just show you through all of the books in the collection, and then we'll try and get Steve back on. So let's have a look if we can just send him another invitation. Cool. All right, so we've got the monkey with a bright blue bottom. We've got hippopotamus. You see where I'm going with this. We've got dragon stew. We've also got itchy, squitchy, scratchy pants. That's a mouthful. Try and get your little ones to say that one. And then we've also got the lamb who came for dinner. This is a lovely story. Cock-a-doodle poo. So funny, these ones. Bear's big bottom. And then I'm not grumpy. So a real range of books here, which are just, they're all wonderful tales. Let's see if we can just get Steve back in. So we'll go and invite you again, Steve. Fingers crossed. Thanks for bearing with us, everyone. Right. Let's just try once more. Okay. Fingers crossed we should have Steve joining us again in a moment. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Hallelujah.
Yay.
Wow.
Steve, I can stop talking now. You just talk.
Oh. I can start. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Oh, great. So, Steve, I've done an intro to the books and I just went through all of them in the collection. But I really am going to hand over to you now because this is a fantastic set. And as you know, I've been reading it with my three and a half year old. And I've started with this one because it really got his attention. Yeah. And then he was just into all of them. So tell us a bit about yourself. You're obviously an award-winning children's author and you've got some fantastic books. So over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, I've been working as an illustrator and an author for over 40 years now. I started off as an illustrator first, and then after about 20 years of doing that, I thought I'd have a go at writing. And The Lamb That Came for Dinner was the first text that I wrote.
Oh, we've already had some people commenting to say that that's one of their favourites.
It's probably still my favourite too. And I've read that to children, adults, grandparents, toddlers, and it just sort of works with everybody. I love that story.
Yeah, it does.
Plus it's been read by Meatloaf on the TV as well, and that was amazing. But yeah, so yeah, that was the first one I wrote. I thought I'd have a go, and at that point I had my children were all getting to be teenagers, and I really missed doing the things that you do with little children, like, you know, splashing in puddles and, you know, making sandcastles and getting excited if you saw a sheep, you know.
Yeah.
And my kids are also, you know, whatever, can we go shopping, you know. So I was thinking I'd have to wait till I got grandchildren before I could do those things again. And the idea was to have an older character with a young character and put them together. And I thought rather than having Grandpa Bear and Baby Bear, which would be a bit whatever, I thought I'd have two animals that normally wouldn't get on. So I started with a wolf and a lamb, and the story's sort of built from that. So, yeah.
It is a really lovely story, and at first glance you might not be sure what it's about, because the wolf, I mean, when Devon and I read it, he was instantly sort of thinking of the Little Red Riding Hood because of the wolf.
Yeah.
But actually it's such a lovely tale, and what's really nice about this story is that the lamb and the wolf sort of take it in turns in terms of the narrative, so you can almost take it in turns to be like the lamb or be the wolf, and they end up being the best of friends. So the wolf does want to eat him. And I think the bit where they're hiccuping is so funny, and I think that when I'm reading it as a parent, I think it's quite hilarious as well, and it's very sweet in the end.
You've got to get that balance between not being sickly sweet, but, you know, being warm and making you feel good afterwards. And yeah, and there's a lot of action, a lot of sounds, and a lot of different emotions in that story.
Yes, definitely.
Ultimately about someone who wants something for dinner, but actually needs a friend more than he needs a nice hot pot.
Yeah, hot bot. I think the other thing that's really nice about this is because of my son's age, he is we are doing a lot of phonics and getting him to start to read, and I like the way that some of those words are in larger font and he can start to sound those out. You know, I don't expect him to be reading the whole page, but I think hopefully you guys can see here some of the wording there that's just nice for them to be able to sound out. So I think it's it's lovely.
So. Well, that's nothing to do with me. That's the brilliant people in the design team at Little Tiger. But no, they do a lot with the text, and it's also it's so nice to have the text being almost animated itself, because it makes the whole spread more lively.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we actually have 8 on Books to Door. We have 8 books, all of yours in a collection. And I know you're going to read a little extract for us today. But do you want to just, before we get into that, do you want to just talk us through some of the other books and where your sort of inspiration and ideas come from? Because I think, you know, I often say this, but as a mum, it's sometimes, I don't know what my son's going to be interested in. And how can parents really get their kids interested in, what do you think about when you're putting these fantastic books together?
Well, I think I've got 4 children myself, and I've now got 8 grandchildren, and spending time with them, you sort of see the world through their eyes, don't you? And it's just so nice to sort of see how excited they can be about very simple things, and also the depth of the emotions that little children feel. I mean, they can go from being deliriously happy to absolutely devastated at the drop of an ice cream, can't they? I mean, it is just they're and the children react to the emotions in the character. So you can really do some quite strong themes and quite emotional themes, but done in a simple way that they you know, sort of react to. But I think in terms of writing, where the ideas come from, I mean, The Monkey with the Bright Blue Bottom, the idea came from a trip to the zoo with my grandchildren, and we were looking at all the monkeys, and there's one turned round and his bum was bright blue, and I thought, well, why's he got a blue bum? And but then I was thinking about that while going around the zoo, and we saw this bird, a cassowary, which was all black and brown, but it's got bright blue and bright red on its face. And I thought, what if the monkey got a paint box and did a little paint job on the bird while he was asleep, and then the bird thought, well, I know who did that, and taught him a lesson by painting his bum blue. And of course that was too simple, but it became a sort of like a long time ago when the world was quite new, and the animals were all boring colours until the monkey found the paint box and went to town. So it came from as simple an idea as that.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, this is a really lovely story. Like, it's so funny. And you follow the monkey around and he gets up to all this sort of mischief, painting all the animals, but he paints on all the spots and the stripes as they should be. And then he ends up with his own blue bottom. And it's nice because I think what you were just saying about the zoo as well, children can recognise the animals quite nicely with this book, and that, you know, they'll say, you know, that one's supposed to have spots, that one's supposed to have stripes, or, you know, it adds a bit of fun to it. So so that's how they all end up in the end. So so
in the end, literally, yes. And Hippopotamus, I mean, the idea of that came from watching the Muppet Show years ago. I mean, they used to have these scenes in the Muppet Show where there'd be like a panorama of a jungle or something, and then little birds and animals would come in and make noises, and the noises would all sort of combine to make a song. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to do that as a picture book? And I started off with a small animal. I thought a mouse. Mouse goes squeak. And I thought, if a mouse is sitting by the river and the river bubbles, then we could have bubble and squeak, which I liked as a starting point. But then I thought, well, hang on, I'm missing a trick here, because if I call the river a creek, creek rhymes with squeak. So it starts off, a mouse sat down by a bubbling creek. The creek went bubble and the mouse went squeak. And then it just builds up from there.
Yeah, it does.
Course,
and it gets the kids involved as well, I think.
Exactly. It's got that nice sort of rhythm, and it ends up with a trumping hippopotamus, so you can't go far wrong with that, can you?
Yeah, there are. I mean, I must admit, Steve, there are quite a few bum, scratchy pants, poo ones in this collection.
Well,
but
yes.
I think it's just, you know, I think often we get asked questions like this from our parents. So I will, that are watching. So I'll ask you this question as well. But if anybody has got any questions for Steve, please do post them in the comments below, and we'll definitely answer them for you. These books are sort of age from, I guess, well, they're primarily sort of picture books, but they could, you know, can start from any age, but sort of maybe 3 upwards, if you like.
Yeah.
We often get asked from parents, which sort of, you know, if they've got children who are dyslexic or autistic, would you sort of say that these books are appropriate? Are they a good fit? Because, you know, they're fantastic and they're eye-catching, and they are sort of light-hearted stories. They're not overwhelming in terms of text on the page. So, because that's something you have got a bit of background in.
Well, I do a lot of school visits, and I have visited children in special schools with various degrees of the autistic spectrum, and or people with ADHD, and quite often get the comment that, oh, I'd never expected they'd sit for that long, or, you know, you really caught their imagination. And I think if you put over a story, you show the pictures, and you do the voices, and you get down on that level and just throw yourself into it, then it can be very engaging. But you can never, I mean, the thing is, any child with any degree of autism, they're an individual, and they all have their own things that they are drawn to. I mean, there's one little lad who was mad about trains. I mean, that's all he wanted to do. Or another one with dinosaurs, and they know everything about them. But, you know, you get something wrong, you're in big trouble. But so I think it's good to test books with a range of books with children. I mean, a pack like this is ideal because you can sort of try them all out, and inevitably there'll be one that they'll be drawn to, but hopefully they'll enjoy it a lot. And then you establish a routine of sitting with your child reading and sharing that time with them. And I think that's really helpful. And also with children on the autistic spectrum, they have a lot of issues with empathy and reading a character's emotion. And in a picture book where the emotions are very obvious or very overt, it can help them to recognize that in somebody else. And I think that's really useful.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because you talked about having emotions. I'm just letting people know that they can ask your questions to Steve. I've just put a little comment in there, so if you've got any questions, please get them in. You just sort of said about emotions there, and I picked up the I'm not grumpy, because as well as the sort of fun bottom ones and the itchy, scritchy, scratchy pants, which I can't even say sometimes, I really like this one, and we often read this one before bed, because children do have emotions. You know, they're just like us. I can be grumpy sometimes. Sometimes I just say, Stephen, you know, you're a grumposaurus today. And and we really liked this one. And he sort of said to me, what does it say, Mummy? And it says, I'm not grumpy. And so we read it through, and it does talk about emotions, but it makes it in quite a sort of light-hearted way. And it's a lovely tale as well, with all the different sort of more woodland animals in this one. And it's quite a sort of gentle, soft story between the badger and the little mouse, and so
and I quite like putting characters together, and characters who are grumpy or a bit selfish or whatever can be almost redeemed by looking after somebody else. And it's dedicated to my father-in-law, by the way, as well, which it says on the front, to Len, who's not grumpy either, honest, because he's very grumpy. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yes.
Yeah, dedication. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I like the idea of people who are grumpy actually suddenly realizing, because they're grumpy and being apart from people, how much they've missed. And there's a bit in the middle of that where he has a bit of a meltdown, and what you need is a hug, and they all give him a hug, and There's something along the lines of a mouse who was, yeah, because he was a bit of a grumpy mouse.
Yeah, the mouse sort of felt funny. It was.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like with the lamb who came to dinner, when they, you know, that they, there's a friendship formed, isn't there? As a bond form.
Yes.
It's quite nice. So I think that they do have a little bit of a sentimental element to them as well. So that's lovely. I know, Steve, you're going to read us an extract, hopefully, in a minute, from a book of your choice, from this collection. But we did have one question just earlier on, asking a little bit more about your school visits. And is there anything, you mentioned about the boy who was quite interested in trains, but is there anything sort of memorable about the school visits that you've done, and what, you know, how are children reading these days? What sort of feedback do you get? We obviously know how important it is, but what sort of feedback do you get? And how can parents get maybe reluctant readers? Or have you got any tips for parents?
I think the best way to get children involved is to be passionate about it yourself. So when your children are little, I mean, it's a magical time to sort of sit before bedtime with a small child, and it's like sharing a book. It's not just reading to them, it's an experience and a bonding thing for both of you, and you get such a sort of positive memories of reading a book, you know, and such sort of warm and comforting feelings that continues on. I mean, and quite often it's children who are not keen on reading, just haven't found the thing that excites them to read. And there are so many wonderful, I mean, graphic novels, and like Dav Pilkey's books are very cartoony, but very accessible for children, and they can read it in bite-sized pieces. And so, I mean, whatever they're reading is good. Just you know, give them stuff to read, and let them find what really works for them.
Great. No, that is true. And it's just find what they're into. And I think the great thing about a collection like this is that they're so vivid and so sort of brought to life, that even just from the front cover and the titles, that you've done such a wonderful job here, that they'll, you know, I didn't even have to say to Devon, which one do you want to start with? He instantly went for The Monkey with the Bright Blue Bottom, and that's what we started with. And then he went on to The Lamb Who Went for Dinner, you know, and then he carried on. So I think that fantastic collection there to get young readers interested and started. And once they're fluent readers, you know, they'll be whizzing through this as well in no time. I don't think they're the kind of books that even when Devon's a bit older, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, that we wouldn't read them, because they're still funny.
I think when I do these school visits, I usually do primary schools, and I read picture books to 10 and 11-year-olds, and especially the rhyming ones are a bit bonkers. I mean, they absolutely love them. I think picture books should be for all ages. I mean, there's some aimed very much at little children, but I think they should be shared by everybody, because I mean, I always put things in my books that make me laugh, and I think if the parents enjoy reading it, then you know, it's less of a chore for them, and a greater experience for everybody.
Yeah. Oh no, it's great. Thank you. So which book are you going to read as an extract from today?
Well,
what have you got there?
I got several. I think The Lamb Who Came for Dinner, though.
Yes, let's go for it. Now, if anybody's got The Lamb Who Came for Dinner and you're at home, please feel free to get your copy, bring it here with you, and we'll post all about the books straight after this Instagram Live, as we always do. And don't forget to hang on until the end, because we've got a special discount just off Little Tiger books, including Steve's collection, just for today only. So over to you, Steve. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about the story first, or are you going to get straight into it?
I think what we'll do is we'll get to them. I'll start at the beginning, and then we'll get to a certain point, and then I'll leave it, and you'll have to finish it yourself. How would that be?
Yeah.
Okay. So The Lamb Who Came for Dinner, dedicated to my wife, because it was the first one I wrote, and that's the law.
Oh, that's lovely.
Vegetable soup again, moaned the old wolf. Oh, I wish I had a little lamb. I could make a hot pot, my favourite. Just then, knock, knock. It was the little lamb. "Can I come in?" said the lamb. "Yes, my dear, do come in. You're just in time for my dinner," snickered the old wolf. The little lamb was shivering with cold. "Brrr, brrr," she went. "Goodness gracious me," said the old wolf. "I can't eat a lamb that's frozen. I hate frozen food." So he put it next to the fire to thaw out. The old wolf looked up his recipe for lamb hot pot. He felt hungry just at the thought of it. The lamb was feeling hungry too. Her tummy rumbled. Rumble, rumble, rumble it went. "Goodness gracious me," said the old wolf. "I can't eat a lamb with a rumbling tummy. I might get indigestion." So he gave the lamb a carrot to eat. "Stuffing," he said to himself. The little lamb gobbled down the carrot so quickly that she got hiccups. She went. "Goodness gracious me," said the old wolf. "I can't eat a lamb with hiccups. I might catch them too." But he didn't know how to cure hiccups. He tried throwing the lamb up in the air. That didn't work. He held her upside down. That didn't work. He twirled her round and round. But that didn't work either. So the old wolf put the lamb over his shoulder and patted her back with his big hairy paw. The lamb stopped hiccuping, snuggled under the old wolf's shaggy chin, and fell fast asleep in his arms. The old wolf felt funny. He'd never been hugged by his dinner before, and suddenly he didn't feel so hungry after all. The little lamb snored gently in his ear. She went. "Goodness gracious me," whispered the old wolf. "I can't eat a lamb that's snoring." The old wolf sat in the chair by the fire, the little lamb warm on his chest, and thought just how very long it had been since anyone had given him a cuddle. He sniffed and sniffed again. The little lamb smelt so delicious. "Oh," he groaned, "if I eat her quickly, it'll be all right." And he was just about to gobble her up. And that's where I'm going to leave it there.
Oh. That is a fantastic part of the story. And
you've got to wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, you have to buy it to see what happens. And I almost gave it away.
You did, almost.
I know. I was, Steve, oh, that's a fantastic read. You really bring, and quite rightly so, but you really bring the stories to life. It was just brilliant. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
That was fantastic. Yeah, a really lovely story. It doesn't have a horrible ending. It's such a like.
It'll be fine.
It's an emotional ending actually. It's very, very, very sweet. And the hiccup, there's two things that just make me laugh in this story. The first thing is when the lamb says, "I don't want to eat frozen food," because I feel like that's aimed at the parents. Well, sometimes they do get frozen food. There's nothing you can do about it.
No, that's right.
The kids do. And so I thought that was aimed at parents. And the hiccup thing, kids always get hiccups, don't they? So I sometimes, turn Devon around. I don't necessarily throw him in the air, but yeah, it's really nice how you have thought of the parents as well, and there's a little bit of humour for us. So that was brilliant. Thank you. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed that. We've had some fantastic response from you all, and I think we've got a couple of questions which I will just make sure I want to capture. So, Steve, people are asking, what are you writing next? What's in your thoughts? What are you thinking of writing next for children's for picture books?
I've got a few things on the back burner at the moment. Our friends Hot Pot and Wolf are involved in another story which will be coming out maybe next year.
Amazing. You heard it here first, everyone.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I have a new book coming out very soon, next month, called The Eyebrows of Doom, which will be great fun. So, yes. Did you hear what I said? The Eyebrows of Doom.
The Eyebrows of Doom. Yeah. Oh, that looks good. Okay, that sounds good. We've had another question, just a comment here actually. So from Vivi Piccolini. Hi, we are amazed with Steve's drawings from Little Bunny series, and I'm amazed how expressive of characters. Do you have something specific that inspires you to get there? So I think you mentioned that you've got 4 children, but you've got grandchildren as well. Is that right? So do they inspire you as well now?
Oh, absolutely. I always come up with something that makes you laugh. I mean, my granddaughter, when she was little, I found her on the floor, all scrunched up, head down, and no, it was the daughter found it, and she said, "Scarlett, what are you doing?" She said, "I'm being a potato." And it was, you can't beat things like that, can you?
No.
Going back to the drawings, I have sketchbooks, and I just draw stuff all the time in the sketchbooks. This is just...
Wow. That is incredible. Look how so detailed. And then do you pass that on to...
Actually not very detailed, but you get all the sense of the emotion in the drawing, don't you?
Yeah.
So I do drawings in all the time, always have done. And even if I'm writing stories, I mean, I've not illustrated any of these books, but even if I'm not going to illustrate the stories, I still draw as part of the writing process, because I think in pictures really. And so the drawing just comes from, you know, I've always drawn. I illustrated books for 20 years before I wrote anything.
Yeah.
And drawing is such a big part of me. And I think putting expressions into drawing is what makes them come to life, and what makes a small child be able to, you know, empathize with them.
Yeah, definitely.
When you've got a very minimal text, you need the pictures to do a lot of the work, don't you? So a big part of that is getting the expressions right. So it's something you learn after the first, you know, 20 or so years how to do it all.
But I think that it helps to, like, you know, you were talking earlier on about having that sort of bonding time. There's nothing quite like it when you just sit down and read a book, and often it does end up being before bed, and you know, when everything else is done and out of the way. But it doesn't have to be. It can just be, you know, just a quiet moment.
Well, also, I think you have to be careful which ones you read just before bed. I mean, Cock-a-Doodle-Poo is probably not the last one before they go to sleep. Because
yeah, it's absolutely hilarious though. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, that's just a bit more of a fun one, like keep that one in the playroom sort of thing. Yeah, that's...
I mean, I don't know if your children are anything like mine, but I mean, you always have to read 3 or 4 stories. So I usually try and finish with one like The Lamb Who Came for Dinner that just ends up with a nice sort of feeling.
Yeah.
And you that's when you can kiss them on the head, turn the light off, and go and watch EastEnders. You see, that's what you want.
Yeah, no, but they are, that's a really funny one, and you know, if you've been on a visit to the farm, or you know, children love animals, then that is a really, really fun one to get stuck into.
Absolutely.
But I think that all of the books, yes, they are picture books, and you know, they're not sort of overload with text, and that's fine. But I think that they all really spark a lot of conversation as well. Because there are emotions and you know, there's themes of there. Some of them are talking about friendship, some are just a bit of fun, like, so for example, the Cock-a-Doodle-Poo. But I find that there's plenty of opportunity to sort of ask questions, you know, so especially with this one actually, so who did the poo, where did it come from, and it does sort of there's a bit more to it. So yeah, I think that they're all fantastic in that sense.
And you should never let your poo become gratuitous either. It's got to have a good reason to be there.
Right. I think we've had all of our questions in. We're getting some really nice comments just saying the books are incredible. Those drawings that you just showed are incredible. Getting lots and lots of positive comments for that. So thank you. Steve, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. Sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning, but we got there in the end.
No problem. We did in the end. Thank goodness.
We did. And it's been great to have you on. We'll look forward to seeing part 2 of The Lamb Who Came for Dinner and anything else that's up your sleeve. Thank you again to Little Tiger for letting Steve take over and for being part of our Book Club Live series. I'm sure we'll be back with both of you again. And here's the collection, just a last sort of mention of that. I'll post all of the details about it afterwards. And I did promise that I would reveal 10% off all Little Tiger books. All you need to do is enter this code, Little Tiger 10, and that's just for the rest of today at Books to Door on our website. So Little Tiger 10, and you'll get 10% off all Little Tiger books just for today to celebrate our Book Club Live with Steve and Little Tiger, and that includes Steve's books as well. So thank you very much. There's a few of you just joining now, but we're about to close. So we'll post it on our Instagram as we always do, so you can go back and rewind and watch again, especially the reading that you did, Steve. I'm going to show that to my son this evening.
Oh, lovely. Well, you'll have to read the rest of it to let him know how it finishes, won't you?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He's so into it. It's one that, you know, he's read quite a few times now. So thank you so much. And to find out more about our Book Club live series and everything that we're up to, please do subscribe to our newsletter as well. So if you haven't already, then please do. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Pleasure.
Thank you to Little Tiger. Bye-bye.
Bye.